Good morning, everyone. This is Deb Strong at Western Marketing. And first of all, I'd just like to say thank you so much to each and every one of you that are joining us on this call this morning. I really appreciate it very much. And today we are so blessed to have my friend and internal wholesaler at North American, Melvin Newbrow, who has spent the last 22 years at North American. So she is going to enlighten us on several things that are going on with the annuities at North American. And Melva, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you and thank you ahead of time for your time today also.
Hey, absolutely. Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you to Deb for inviting me to talk to you today about a couple of different things, all relating to North American. As you can see, here I am on your screen. I'm waving at you, but although you can't see me. So my name is Melvin Newbrow. I am the internal wholesaler here for Central Region at North American Annuities. As Deb said, I've spent my last 22 years here. I've been everywhere from, starting QAing policies to new business to moving over to being sales support on the sales desk for agents and now moving into this internal wholesaler role, which is awesome getting to build those relationships out. So just to I want to keep this nice, short, brief. I'm going to be very respectful of your time, try to keep this within, half an hour. I said maybe 20 minutes, but we'll see how fast I can talk. So what we're going to cover today, I'm going to talk about why North American as a company. I'm going to give you a sales idea with a product solution, and then just touch real quickly on our CD alternative product because that's pretty hot right now. So first and foremost, why North American? First of all, our strength and stability. We are a privately held company. What that means for you guys is that we do not have to succumb to short-term pressures. We are looking out on long term. We're looking out in the future. So we don't have to make those knee-jerk reactions on things like other companies may have to do. The other thing I love is that we are an A+ rated carrier. We are not only A+ with AM Best, we're A+ with S&P and with Fitch. So that is a great track record. And we've just recently been reaffirmed, and that is on our strength and stability piece. I know I send that to Deb quite often, really touting that those ratings and that stability that we've had. The next thing I wanted to talk to you about within our North American company and why you want to use us is we do offer not only EAP, which I'm sure all your carriers offer some sort of an EAP. We actually offer a suitability pre-check for you to use within that EAP system. You are simply gathering the information that you would gather anyway for a suitability form, plugging that information onto the EAP system. You'll see start new application and then start new suitability pre-check. So if you choose that, you're going to complete the information on the client, on the product, what state it's for, give us all that kind of good information, including if it's a replacement, giving us that information. Once you get that information in, the client does not have to sign this. This is you, the agent, doing this on behalf of the client on maybe one that you're not quite sure is going to go through the suitability process cleanly. So you send it to a reviewer. It comes right here to our company. It comes right to the suitability team. They pull that up. It says you'll hear back from us within 48 hours. However, this is their main priority. They want agents to use the system. So they generally get to that within 24 hours. If it's a rush, you can always call in and we can get that looked at faster. They're going to send you an email. They're going to say, number one, this is approved. Go back to the EAP system. All you have to do is click complete application, put in the various other information, have it signed and submitted. They're going to say, well, it's kind of on the fence. We need a little more information. So you want to go in, you correct that information, send it back through to see if that gets processed. Or, sorry, this is declined. We're not going to be able to take this case. In which case you've went through that step where you didn't even have to write. You didn't have to write the business, submit it, go through all of the signatures just to find out that it won't pass. So I find that a great feature.
No,
Yep.
but can I add something to this too? And I have a question with that
Mhm.
also.
Yeah.
Some carriers draw kind of a line in the sand with maybe a surrender charge coming over from the other carrier. Maybe it's 3%, 4%, or whatever. Do you guys have a hardcore number that you use, or is it a case by case issue when the other company has an existing small surrender charge? Can you touch on that
Yeah.
just for a second?
Mhm. That's a great question, because one of the reasons we have this suitability pre-check and we have our team that you can actually call into is because we don't have hard lines drawn. Our suitability team really wants to look at all of the everything within that client, because if you have a younger client that's needing to get their 401k rolled, for example, maybe they're not going to have as much net worth, or they're not going to have as many liquid assets. So all of that is taken into account. So they do review these on a case by case basis.
Oh, that's great.
Great
Thank you.
question.
I know that that might be a question in the back of people's minds, so thank you for addressing that.
Absolutely. Last thing I want to touch on as far as why North American is that we have an awesome agent program for you that you can participate in. It's called our Exclusive Producers Connection. I call it EPC for short. And it really gives you some additional commission opportunity based upon your fixed indexed annuity production for the year. So as you can see, there's different tiers there. Executive level is $2 million issued in a calendar year. That's $50 additional compensation. President, 1% full additional comp. Chairman, 1.5. And you may ask, okay, I get to that $2 million. I get an additional 50 bips going forward. Well, what about the first $2 million that I just gave you? We pay retro to $1. So when you get into that program, and it's an automatic, you don't have to call us and say, hey, I think that I've passed the 2 million mark. It's automatic. You generally will get a call from your regional sales director and letting you know that you've qualified. Those bonuses are paid out once a month. And so that first one is going to be a really nice one, because it's going to be a 50 basis point commission paid retro to $1 on a 2 million. And you're saying, gosh, it's already September, the end of September already, which is crazy, but we have had this program. I don't have any thoughts that we are not going to be able to continue this program into next year. So just keep that in mind as you're writing business. So going on now, here's the sales idea. Okay, let's think back, you guys, to January 1st of 2020. And what happened? This wonderful government Secure Act happened. And the Secure Act did several good things for clients. Sorry about that. We actually had to create this Secure Act FAQ because there were so many different things that happened. They did some good things, right? However, the one thing that they did do that was shocking to people was they eliminated quote, quote, stretch IRAs, where prior to this January 1st, 2020 rule, if you had a non-spouse beneficiary, they could stretch those payments, just take simple required distributions and stretch that, giving those taxes back to the government basically over their lifetime. Well, the IRS said, gosh, that's a long time for us to get paid back on that money. So we're going to change this. And now we still are going to allow a non-spouse beneficiary to stretch an IRA that they're inheriting. But now we want to make sure that you get that paid out within 10 years. So essentially, they're just saying, instead of letting you pay this back to us over 10 years or over a lifetime, we need that within 10 years. Now, I do want to point out that there are certain exceptions to that 10-year drawdown rule. However, we do not administer those. So we're not going to administer any type of life expectancy exceptions on those inherited IRAs. We do the 10-year rule. We've done it since day one. We didn't stop taking these. So that's the exciting part. Is there were several companies that said, gosh, they eliminated stretch IRAs. I can't send my non-spousal IRAs anywhere now. Yeah, you can. you can. And a few more companies have gotten into the loop now, but we definitely have been there since the long term. So essentially, here's our Inherited IRA frequently asked questions. So again, who can establish an Inherited IRA under that 10-year rule? It's really any non-spousal beneficiary who is inheriting someone's IRA, pension plan, 401k, those qualified funds that are not in a position to pay the taxes on that qualified money lump sum right away. They want to be able to at least stretch this out for a while.
And Melva, is it 10 years from the date of death of the owner where it was coming from? Can you clarify
so the original,
that?
So, and it's by the end of that 10th year of the original owner's passing. So if somebody passes this year, then within December 31st of 2032, they would have to have everything out of the contract. And we do keep track of that. I mean, that's definitely because we're coding this as an inherited IRA on our policy. The other question I get a lot is, well, what if I am under age 59 and a half? Well, it's coded as an inherited, which means that client is not getting a pre-59 and a half penalty on anything they are taking out of the contract.
Thank you. Thank you for mentioning that, because that's a big point.
Big point, yes. What if there is a trust as the beneficiary of the original owner's contract? If that trust, we can't take the ownership as the trust on an inherited, but most trusts have what's called a see-through or a bypass option, where the trustee of the trust can designate it to a beneficiary, an individual beneficiary, and have it paid out as such. So if you do have a trust beneficiary, don't give up hope that can't be done as an inherited IRA. Give us a call. We'll go through some information and see if that's still something that we can take as a see-through trust.
And you would probably want a copy of the trust as well, correct?
Nope, we do not require that. It's really going to be something that's done through that other company's death claim process.
Okay,
what they're going to need. Yeah, yep, absolutely. So now that you know we will take these non-spousal inherited IRAs, you're probably thinking, well, yeah, what kind of product am I going to get then? Well, we're very lucky because we have an awesome fixed indexed annuity that fits right into this Stretch IRA Secure Act rule. And that is our Performance Choice 8. First thing, this is just a nice snippet of our quick reference guide. This is an accumulation product, 8-year surrender. You can see that we'll issue this all the way up to age 85. I mentioned that really because I worked on a sister who'd inherited her brother's IRA. She was 82 years old and just thought she was going to have to pay the taxes right away up front. And we were able to accommodate her because of those issue ages. So keep that in mind. We do require at least $20,000 to issue. There's your surrender charge schedule. Penalty-free withdrawals on this policy, you can take up to 10% each year after the first contract year. So as Deb well knows, we can run some illustrations on this. It's really awesome because it's up to the client how they want to do this. So they can work with their tax advisor, and maybe if they're younger, they are not in a position to take a withdrawal in the first, say, 5 years, but then they want to start that 10%. And after the 8th year, then it's completely liquid, so they can figure out in years 9 and 10 how they want to liquidate the rest of that. Many times on illustrations, I'll show that 10% of the account value coming out each year from years 2 through 8. And then year 9, I show 50% of the remaining value coming out. And year 10, we're popping it all out of there. So it's really up to the client. At this time, there is no requirement for that beneficiary client to take a distribution until the 10th year. They may want to do that for tax purposes, but they're not required to at this point. So what kind of rates do we have for this client? They're really nice. We have, if you look just even at the fixed account rate, for an 8-year fixed indexed annuity product, we're sitting at 3.6. I like to point that out because even though this is a fixed indexed annuity product, if you're well aware of renewal rate histories, a lot of that hinges on what that fixed account rate is, because we're going to try to keep that as close to that 3.6 as possible, and then we'll move the credited interest rates accordingly. But we've even got our annual point-to-point S&P cap is all the way up to 8%. As you can see, there are several different indexing options available. We really like to tout diversification, not putting all your eggs in one basket. We've got some enhanced participation strategies that there is a fee on for the client, but this, you certainly have the opportunity to do all no fee crediting options as well. So as you can see, we've got your hypothetical illustrated rates there. Here's the last 10 years is our most recent 10-year history. The high indicates the highest 10 years out of the last 20-year period, and the low is the lowest 10 out of the last 20. So you can see some really nice opportunities for growth for those clients while they're sitting in this fixed indexed annuity and looking to stretch that asset out while earning some great interest rates. One thing to point out, you'll see these at the very bottom here, the annual point-to-point and 2-year point-to-point with enhanced participation rates. Those do have this annual strategy charge percentage, which is 95 basis points, but that does increase. So, for example, that's increasing from 140% up to 170% participation, and 195% to 245% participation on the 2-year point-to-point. So some really nice options. Again, you can mix and match. You can do, say I want to try 20% of my funds in an enhanced strategy. Only 25% of your funds will be charged the 0.95. So mixing and matching those allocation options, we love that. All right.
Melva, I'm glad you mentioned that fixed account too, because in the last 2 weeks, I've had probably a dozen calls from agents that have clients that are a little bit nervous Nellies that are scared of the market. So that's kind of a safe haven to, putting some in the fixed account. So thanks for touching on that, because that's a very respectable rate right now, 3.6.
Very
on the
good.
fixed,
On a fixed index.
in the fixed bucket. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and one thing to note on that, Deb, is that the clients on our policies, of course, they have the opportunity to make an allocation change each year. Now, as long as they're in the annual point-to-point, 2-year point-to-points every other year, they can change that one, whatever they have in it. But we give the client 30 calendar days after their anniversary date to make the change. Because you don't know prior to your anniversary date really what the what you're into, what the renewal rates are going to be. So watch those client statements, and it's going to show you what the renewal rates are, and then we'll take an allocation change from the client. We'll take that from the agent of record, or we do have a form that they can send in.
Can that be done over the phone also, Melva, with the client?
Yep. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and the agent of record can call by themselves and make the allocation change as well. They don't have to have the client on. So either way.
Thank you.
And then yep. Great. So with that, where we've got our sales idea with the non-spousal inherited IRA, which I'm sure you're all sitting down with those beneficiaries, or you've got longtime clients, and they're going to need your help on that, and at least you have a home for that. So let's touch on real quickly the CD alternative plan that we've got here. So our product is called the Guarantee Choice. Hang on, I've lost my mouse. There we go. It's called the Guarantee Plus. The Guarantee Plus product does right all the way up through age 90. We do require at least $20,000 to issue the policy, and to get a high band interest rate, it's $100,000 or more. You got your 3, 5, and 7-year guarantee rate periods. Now, if you're sitting in California or Florida doing some business, the 7-year option is not available for you, just the 3 and the 5, but the rates are the same in all states for that. Penalty-free withdrawals on this product is probably the thing I hear the most about. That is interest only, and it is interest earned the prior contract year. And this is so after your first year anniversary, beginning in your second contract year, you can take anything that you earned as far as interest in your prior contract year. And then after year 2, beginning of year 3, you can take interest earned in year 2. Now, if you wait till, say, year 4, you only have access to interest earned in year 3. You do not have access to 1 and 2 and 3. But a really nice feature on this product, before we get to our amazing interest rates on the product, is that it does include a nursing home confinement waiver for 100% liquidity of the accumulation value.
That's huge.
Is this available at age 85? Oh, yes, it is. Yep, it's available at all issue ages, automatically added to the contract. The big thing is that the confinement cannot begin before that 1-year anniversary date, and then they must be confined for 90 consecutive days. And then that waiver kicks in for them.
You know, Melva, that's huge because a lot of carriers on the nursing home confinement waiver, you can only buy it like to, 78, 80 or whatever. So the fact that you can get that all the way to 90 is really, really cool.
Pretty huge, yes. Yep, and it's at no fee to the client. It's just automatically attached.
More and more agents are asking for that.
And it does say may vary by state. I believe it is South Dakota is the only state that doesn't allow us to have that waiver. Why, I'm not really sure. Strange state not to allow it, but California's in there, all of our other states that are approved. So as a CD alternative product, and mind you, remember A+ rated carrier, we're going to look at our current interest rates, and these just jump back up again effective the 13th of September. So I know we've got highlighted there the 5-year rate at 4.25, and that is a rate guaranteed for 5 years at $100,000 or more. I right now am talking more and more about this 3-year rate that you see that is 4.05 for 100,000 or more on just a 3-year term. There are, clients we're finding are really looking for shorter term because they just don't know what's going to be happening in the next few years with interest rates. So I would say the 3-year is probably our top selling guarantee right now, followed closely by that 5-year. We are getting some of the 7 years because you can write the 7-year even on a 90-year-old. It's just got to go through suitability review. So a 4.55 rate on a 7-year product is pretty darn good.
They're all really competitive.
Yes, they are. They are. We're right at the top, I believe, right now. I don't think anybody has increased rates in the last week that I'm aware of as far as an A+ rated carrier to catch up with us. So
well, and that's the big point. The A+ rating is huge.
Absolutely. And not to discount the low brand rates. If the client's got at least $20,000 or more, up to the $100,000, they can still get the 3.6 on the 3-year, a 4% rate on a 5, and a 4.25 on a 7. So it's not for just all those that have the $1 million cases, although we wouldn't mind those either. So just send us over. We've gotten some of those in for sure, but.
No, but what can you take for an exception? Is it like, will you do up to $1 million without an exception, or what are your guidelines for that?
Yep, great question. So we actually will go all the way through age 70. If the client is age 70 or younger, we will take up to $2 million with no prior approval. And that is true on both the Guarantee Plus product as well as that Performance Choice 8 product that we talked about earlier. If the client is 71 or over, we will take up to $1 million without prior approval. I would say if you would happen to have a case that exceeds those parameters, don't hesitate to send in a large case exception. We generally get those reviewed within 24 to 48 hours. We've seen some really nice large case exceptions come through as well. Okay.
That's great, Melva. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do have on my next screen, questions. So, just to reiterate, we got our Y North American with our ratings, our strengths, being privately held, our EAP, suitability pre-check. Along with that suitability pre-check, I did want to mention, I think I said this, but I didn't really tout it, that, if you are old school, if you are not a computer person, you don't go through the EAP, you use paper app, which is absolutely fine with us, but you have a suitability question, you can call in and speak directly to a suitability representative. They will say, hey, have you tried our suitability EAP pre-check? And you can say, well, yeah, I know about it, but I really want to talk to you right now. And that is fine. They will talk to you, they will go through the case, and they will give you a good idea of what they can and can't accept. And then we had our sales idea with the non-spousal inherited IRA, utilizing that with our awesome Performance Choice 8 short-term fixed indexed annuity product. And then, of course, our CD alternative product with our great interest rates currently. So I'm happy to take any questions. I love taking them. If you've got, a chat or something and want to throw them at me, that's up to you guys. Huh? Well, in conclusion, and if you do get something, let me know. But, again, there's my name on there, Melva Newbrow. I've got my direct phone number that does come directly to me, option 1, with my email address. Of course, I'm sure Deb would be more than happy to field your questions or put you in contact with me. If we've got stuff, Deb and I can have a conference call with agents, go over questions. I'm pretty open to about anything, and trying to help you with your business. I'm just here to assist.
Well, Melva, thank you so much, and I'd like to also to thank everyone that attended this call today and tell you that our 800 number is 1-800-852-7152, and we'd all be happy to help you with any cases, and I want to thank you in advance for your business. And Melva, thank you so much. This has been wonderful.
You bet. Thank you again for having me and for all the attendees. I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll have more to come for you.
All righty. Everyone have a great day, and thank you. Do we know out of the 22?